1A. Okay, today is August 13th, 2023. Our sermon topic is spirit mind, because there's a giant misunderstanding about who and what human beings are. Are we just animals? No. Are we just spiritual beings? No. We're at the apex and central point between animals and heavenly God. We're the difference. We have a spiritual divine mind that can be loving and kind and merciful and intellectual and willful and do good at the sacrifice of ourself. And we also have an animal mind. So we're going to talk about that. I'm Reverend Walter Frank Jr., pastor of Heavenly Parents, Holy Community of San Diego. So let's just start. One of the things I do every morning is I do my own AM devotion, my own morning devotion, right? I listen to the morning devotion with Kevin Thompson or whoever's leading that. But I also read the Bible every day. I still read the Bible every day. If you want to talk to Christians, you should read the Bible every day. So I'm in the book of Hebrews last week, so I thought I'd explain this. This is Hebrews, God's supreme revelation. God, who at various times and in various ways spoke in time past to the fathers by the prophets, right? To their Hebrew fathers through the prophets. And this is important because one of the things we're trying to explain to people and make the point, divine principle made it very clear that everything in the universe, including the universe, grows in steps. So originally there's prophets, there's Abraham, there's the prophets as the teachers, then we come to Jesus, then we come to the saints, apostles. Everything grows and grows and grows. Nothing happens immediately fully formed. It doesn't take place, right? Even when Jesus was born, it says Jesus grew in spirit and truth, right? So, and has in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he made the worlds. The worlds, the universe, the physical form we call the universe that we live in. And I'm going to try and explain how that works and why this makes the most sense in the whole world, and you can be able to understand the world. Number one, this is from a website called space.com. This is not a Christian website. It's not a Hebrew website. It's an atheist astronomer website. It's by Clara Moskowitz, Megan Bartels. It was updated 2022. They said scientists have found thousands of other planets, thousands of other worlds, actually, right? It says God's the creator of worlds based on the image of his Son, Jesus Christ. Scientists have found thousands of other worlds, but they're not like Earth. To date, astronomers have discovered nearly 5,000 exoplanets, or planets beyond our solar system. But many people still have a soft spot for one particular planet called the Earth. That might be biased, but still, given what scientists have learned about exoplanets, so far a combination of several different factors seems to make Earth unique in the universe. Unique and capable of bearing life and human beings living here. You hear all the time how Earth-like Mars is, but if you were taken to Mars, you wouldn't feel happy there at all. You'd die like in 10 seconds. Don Brownlee, an astronomer at the University of Washington, told Space.com in 2008, it isn't Earth-like. It's a nice red planet, but there's no atmosphere. It's nothing. You know why? Because it's too small to have an atmosphere. First off, Earth has established itself in a particularly comfortable neighborhood. See, this is atheism. The Earth just made itself here, right? We don't think so. We think God put us in the right spot at the right time to create a spot or nest for his children, right? Although our sun experiences an 11-year activity cycle, the star isn't too disruptive to Earth even at its peak activity. That's a marked contrast, for example, to red dwarfs, small stars known for sizable outbursts of radiation. So we're in the perfect sun, perfect Earth, right? Earth is a cozy distance from the sun as well, orbiting at an average 92,955,807 miles away. The pairing of planet and star also allows Earth to retain liquid water on its surface, of which they find liquid water nowhere else in the universe. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So a planet much further in would receive too much energy from the sun, and a planet too far out would quickly freeze. Diana Valencia, planetary scientist now at the University of Toronto Scarborough in Canada, told Space.com in 2008, in addition, Earth's size lets it hold onto our precious atmosphere. If our planet was bigger, we would squash the atmosphere. If we were too small, we'd be like the moon and have no atmosphere. Gravity couldn't hold an atmosphere. And we have the right star. By providing light and heat, solar energy is an indispensable ingredient for life. But for life to thrive, the planet-star relationship must be, this is not a Christian word, must be a perfect fit. How does it get to be a perfect fit? Just by luck or accident? No, we don't say it's luck or accident. If the sun was hotter, then the earth would be uninhabitable. On the other hand, with a less warm sun, there would be no liquid water on the earth's surface, an indispensable prerequisite for life. It would just be ice. The water would just be frozen like everywhere else in the universe. As with any star, the sun's output energy varies over time. In its case, typically over a period of 11 years, yet at solar maximum, its brightness is only about 0.1% higher than at solar minimum. This relative stability over long periods of time has been crucial in sustaining life on the Earth, as if the Earth was created or prepared with the sun and other planets for life, right? For God's Son to be able to live on this planet. The rotation of the Earth on its axis causes day and night cycles every 24 hours. If our planet did not rotate, one half would always be bright and warm, while the other half would always be dark and cold. Instead, as the Earth rotates, each area of its surface gets a turn to face and be warmed by the sun, which affects the weather, agriculture, food, and our health. The rotation periods of the planets vary widely, with some cycles totally unsuitable for human life. Jupiter spins around itself in less than 10 hours, while a solar day on Venus lasts a never-ending 116 days. And all this is by perfect amounts of weights, rotation, momentum, work with the moon. Earth is also shaped by its partnership with the moon, which is relatively large compared to Earth. Earth's moon stabilizes our planet's rotation, preventing drastic movements of the poles that would cause massive changes in climate. The moon also shapes conditions on the surface by creating the ocean's tides, right? And because of the tides, the oceans are constantly oxygenated. If there are no tides, or they would just be stagnant ponds. There could be no life. Perhaps the most strikingly unique feature of Earth is its vast oceans, which cover 70% of the planet's surface. Earth is the only world in our solar system with liquid water at its surface today, and the only of the 5,000 other planets discovered. This is the only one. As if there was an invisible being with a mind creating this planet for us to live on it. For life, water in liquid form is essential. Due to its very unique properties, it is the indispensable solvent for all forms of life as we know them, and our Earth is covered by it. It falls on you in rain. It's purified. It comes out of springs out of the ground. It comes everywhere. On a planetary scale, the right amount of water is also crucial. It has to be available in abundance, but not so much as to cover all the mountains and leave no land. Water is what lubricates plate tectonics, which in turn leads to continents and sea floors. I don't know what that was about. While other planets over time freeze or fry, Earth has kept its ocean, lakes, and rivers liquid for thousands or perhaps millions of years. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So far, we haven't seen any planet outside the solar system that looks quite like Earth. Scientists have discovered nearly 5,000 exoplanets to date. While they can know only very limited information about each of these worlds, nothing matches Earth's unique set of characteristics. Why is Earth the only planet with an oxygen atmosphere? For the first 2 billion years of Earth's history, there was no oxygen in the air. That changed with the Great Oxidation Event around 2.4 billion years ago, when low levels of oxygen first appeared. This has often been attributed to the evolution of photosynthetic bacteria that release oxygen as a waste product. Earth's atmosphere is roughly 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, with trace amounts of water, argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases. No other planet in the solar system or the universe has an atmosphere loaded with free oxygen, which is vital to one of the other unique features of Earth, which we call life, right? So Book of Hebrews says all this was prepared for human beings, specifically for Jesus Christ, who's the first perfect man. If Adam and Eve had not failed, Book of Hebrews would have said for Adam and Eve. but they failed, so it's for Jesus. Not all planets have a magnetosphere, but to host life, a planet can hardly dispense with it. Earth's magnetic field provides an indispensable shield from cosmic radiation and high-energy particles launched from the sun and elsewhere in the cosmos. The magnetic field is generated by electric currents due to the convective movements of liquid iron alloys within the Earth's core. The famous northern lights, for example, are formed because of the peculiar structure of the Earth's magnetic field when solar winds collide with atmosphere near the poles. So all these things, there's like hundreds of things. I'm only putting a few of the big major ones, right? But there's hundreds and hundreds of lucky things that happen to us so humans can be alive here today. The right atmosphere. In order to survive, organisms need an adequate atmosphere, not too thin, neither too thick, and of the right composition. Besides providing oxygen, the atmosphere protects life on Earth by shielding it from incoming ultraviolet radiation that could otherwise damage our DNA. The Earth's atmosphere also helps regulate temperatures by preventing extremes day and night. Earth's atmosphere is about 300 miles thick and is commonly divided into 5 major layers, which are, etc., etc., etc. Next one. 3 chemical elements, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, make up 93% of the human body mass, yet overall there are at least 29 elements that are essential for the human body to function properly. You know, you also have iron, zinc, etc., etc. Without those, you can't live. Though alien life need not necessarily be based on carbon molecules, as are all forms of life on Earth, science fiction has long imagined alien worlds inhabited by silicon-based life. Any planetary environment aspiring to host life would require a wide range of naturally occurring elements. On Earth, virtually all elements of the periodic table occur naturally in some form. All 92 naturally occurring elements are on the Earth. You can't say that about all other planets, right? Providing the fundamentals for higher forms of life. If we didn't have zinc and magnesium and all the other things your body needs on the Earth freely in the water you drink, that's why river water is good for you, by the way. River water is good for you, spring water, because as it travels through the Earth, it gathers zinc, magnesium, and the other elements that your body needs. That's why drinking river water or tap water, sorry water purists, tap water gives you the minerals you need to live. I'm sort of a tap water enthusiast. Okay, this article that I just read covers the following 11 reasons that Earth alone among all known planets is uniquely equipped to support life. I didn't write that, they did, right? The space people. Earth is the right size. If the Earth was smaller, it couldn't hold its atmosphere and life couldn't be sustained. Conversely, if our home planet would be significantly larger, it would hold onto too much atmosphere. The thick atmosphere in turn would trap too much of the heat and the planet would become uninhabitable. So the planet has to be exact weight, exact size, exact gravitational field for us to be able to live. As if someone prepared it for human beings. The Earth is the right distance from the star. The Sun is the right star for the Earth. Earth has liquid water. Earth has an abundance of elements. Earth's rotation, Earth is correct timetable. Earth's tilted axis allows for weather and seasons. Earth has a large moon. Earth has a right atmosphere. Earth has a magnetosphere. Earth has plate tectonics. Has everything we need, right? Is that just good luck? Very good luck. Atheists think it's just good luck. No. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing can come from nothing. There must be something causing all these lucky things to happen to us, right? It is an atheist myth that something can come from nothing. The Earth must have a cause. So we describe that first cause as, we use the word God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The God of Jesus Christ is the central religion on Earth, right? How do we describe the first cause of all matter and all life? First, orderly and lawful. That is, everything grows through several stages. Everything grows through several stages. Why doesn't God just poof and make the whole universe and everything in it? No. If you read Genesis, God makes us light, let there be light. Then there's what we call quark confinement. There's matter, then there's form, then there's shape, then et cetera, right? We can depend on the laws of nature. God is dependable. The first cause, or God is dependable. And God has a parental heart, a love for creation. That's why there's fruits and vegetables and waters and fishes and all the things we like to see and eat. There are no accidents in nature, he said. Every motion of the constantly shifting bodies in the world is timed to the occasion for some definite foreordered end. Do you know who wrote this? I'll tell you in a second. The flowers blossom in obedience to the same law that makes the course of constellations, and the song of a bird is the echo of universal symphony. Nature is one, and to me the greatest delight of observation and study is to discover new unities in this all-embracing and eternal harmony. That's John Muir. John Muir said that. John Muir, who's like the father of what, naturalism? What do we call him, Bob? What's his title? Bob doesn't know. Also, if you want to understand about physics, nature, God, this is a great book. It's called The Physics of Christianity by Frank J. Tipler. Because my point is, God created the universe. There's lots of people who don't want to believe that, but it's stupid to not believe it. Frank Tipler, professor of mathematical physics. When I began my career as a cosmologist some 20 years ago, I was a convinced atheist. I never in my wildest dreams imagined that one day I would be writing a book purporting to show that the central claims of Judeo-Christian theology are in fact true, that these claims are straightforward deductions of the laws of physics as we now understand them. I have been forced into these conclusions by the inexorable logic of my own special branch of physics. So people who study understand. This God is dependable, God's laws are real, they're invisible, and it comes from the spirit world. Arno Allen Penzias, you know he's the one who discovered the Big Bang. Nobel Prize winner. Astronomy leads us to a unique event, a universe which was created out of nothing. One with a very delicate balance needed to provide exactly the conditions required to permit life, and one which has an underlying, one might say supernatural, plan of life, right? Guy who discovered the Big Bang. Doesn't get smarter than that. And by the way, and this is very important, I know there's atheists, and your kids are all listening to atheists, and they're thinking we're just made up of chimps and just animals. Show them this. A survey of scientists who are members of the American Association for the Advancement of Science conducted by the Pew Research Center for the People of the Press in May and June 2009. According to the poll, just over half of, again, these are all atheist, agnostic institutions. According to the poll, just over half of scientists, 51%, believe in some form of deity or higher power. Specifically, 33% of scientists say they believe in God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, while 18% believe in a universal spirit or higher power, like Einstein, right? Isn't that amazing? So don't feel alone. The atheists dump movie, show, television, news over all of us that somehow science believes in atheism or science disproves God. 51% of all scientists believe in God, just like you and me. So don't be tricked or brainwashed by the people on the left. Right?
Right.
Takashi's here. He believes in God. He's a physicist. Edwin Hubble's successor, astronomer Alan Sandage, expressed a similar feeling. Sandage actually came to belief in God and ultimately faith in Christ by recognizing that the so-called Big Bang is indeed the creation event of Genesis. Sandage said, I find it quite improbable that such order came out of cosmic chaos. There has to be some organizing principle. God to me is a mystery, but is the explanation for the miracle of existence, while there is something instead of nothing. Why there's something instead of nothing here? So I want to give you confidence. How do we recognize this creator? This is from John Muir. I thought I'd share John Muir today. John Muir on evolution and God. Little men with only book knowledge of science have seized upon evolution as an escape from the idea of God. Evolution, a wonderful mouth-filling word, isn't it? It covers a world of ignorance. Just say evolution and you have explained every phenomenon of nature and explained away God. It sounds big and wise. Evolution, they say, brought the earth through its glacial periods, caused the snow blanket to recede, the flower carpet to follow it, raised the force of the world, developed animal life from jellyfish to thinking man. But what caused evolution, he says? There they stick. To my mind, it is inconceivable that a plan that has worked out through unthinkable millions of years, without one hitch or one mistake, the development of beauty that has made every microscopic particle of matter perform its function in harmony with every other in the universe, that such a plan is a blind product of an unthinking abstraction. He finds it unbelievable. You have to be in it? Anyway, I won't say it. No. Somewhere before evolution was an intelligence that laid out the plan, and evolution is a process, not the origin of harmony. You may call the intelligence what you please. I cannot see why so many people object to call it God. John Muir. I'd rather be in the mountains thinking of God than in church thinking about the mountains. That's why we have this view there.
All right.
So you can be both in church, in the mountains, and thinking about God too. So, see? We've solved it. Here's our point, right? This is the remains of a Neanderthal home, right? Here's a better picture of a Neanderthal home. So human beings started making Neanderthal homes like this out of bones and hides, and then we make skyscrapers. Why didn't we just start with skyscrapers? Because it's not the pattern of God's universe. God's universe always begins with a seed, the seed to a sapling, sapling to a tree, tree to a mature tree that bears fruit, right? All things grow by this basic method. See? So here's the Big Bang. It begins, and the universe grows and grows. And by the way, the universe is still growing. Did you know that? The universe is still growing. I'm not going to talk about that topic. So we say the nature of our universe, or how do we know about God, is that everything grows. Everything grows and continues to grow. God begins with light, right? Let there be light. Then we have what we call quark confinement. When the light energy slows down, heat gets cooler and cooler, and I think if they say it's 100 million degrees centigrade, then electrons and protons form, right? And then they form, and then they get shapes. They become concentration of hydrogen called stars. And from stars we get all the other elements flying through all the world. Nuclear fusion in the center of a star makes iron, makes tin, makes aluminum, makes all the other elements we have. And then galaxies form, and then our solar systems form. Then our solar system begets life. The three kingdoms, by the way, there used to be three kingdoms, right? It'd be animal, vegetable, and mineral. Now it's 5 kingdoms of different kinds of bugs and things. Humans, as is from the beginning of creations, human are the goal. God's goal was to create humans. God uses this system to be able to get to here. And that's what's going on in the world. But it's not completely. So that's what this means. Has in these last days spoken to us by his Son. He has appointed heir of all things, through whom he also made the worlds. All the other worlds were made, all these things were made so that a perfect man, a perfect Son of God would arrive on the earth, and then all humans be readopted into God's kingdom, and we build the kingdom of God on earth as our true heavenly parent. And as our true parents have shown us, that what that means is God is a true heavenly parent, masculine and feminine, and that we're supposed to be masculine and feminine, creating families of true love. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, human beings. What are human beings? There's God the Creator, human beings. We have both a spirit and a body. We have a body that's based fundamentally on ape bodies. We're very similar, although we're probably 80% different than apes, right? You might ask, what's this got to do with the religion or myself, Pastor Frank? Well, the answer is coming up. Get ready. Like our universe, you, we, us, them, ideally grow. If the universe has to grow from nothing to light, to form, to matter, to stars, to earth, then we likewise have to grow in the same system. And all things grow in the same system because it's God's pattern. That's his pattern. First, we grow physically, of course. We need love. We need mother's love and father's love. A rich spiritual atmosphere, and our physical body grows, right? In the beginning, we don't know we have a spirit. We're just crying all the time, etc. So we have a healthy body, air, sunlight, food, water, physical nutrients like food, the minerals I mentioned, proteins, and then our physical body begins to grow. Our spirit is given to us at our birth, but then, which is a rich atmosphere. But then next, God is spirit, and the people who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. So we must acknowledge that we're a spiritual being, not just an animal body. If we don't acknowledge our spirit and our intellect and our mind and our heart of love, then we'll just be animals. So we have a spiritual body which also needs to grow, to dominate our physical mind and to dominate the earth with the truth of God's love. That's the whole goal. This is the whole goal of all God's creation, making all the planets, stars, everything. This is the goal. This is the target that we need to hit. And missing that target is what we call sin. So, we say we need to grow our mind. We need to, let me go back. We need to grow our spiritual body to dominate our physical mind and to dominate the earth, because we have a body which has a mind of its own. Our body has its own mind that we call the flesh mind or animal mind, our body. It's called the limbic system, or in divine principle terms, our animal mind. We all have an animal mind, right? God built the universe in steps, incorporating all the last steps. God created all the animal kingdoms in steps. In order for humans to have dominion over all the animals, we also have to have an animal brain or an animal mind, or you can't relate to animals. If we're supposed to love all the animals, then some part of us has to be able to understand the animals. So why do we have to have an animal mind? Why don't we just have a spirit mind? Because we're supposed to be the in-between, the mediator between God and all the animals and all the plants. We're supposed to love animals. We're supposed to love horses, love dogs, love cats, love spiders, love everything. But if we don't have an animal mind, we'll be just an angel who's completely gone from the world. We're in the world and made of the world. In order for humans to have dominion over all the animals, we also have an animal brain or animal mind. But we're not animals. We're not animals. Some people want us to be considered an animal, especially they want you to be an animal. They don't want to be considered animals. Nazis, communists, Marxists, nobility of England, they all wanted you to be an animal and them to be your superiors. I don't like nobility of England. I don't like them. They wanted to enslave us, right? So they can enslave you, murder you like you're an animal. If you're just an animal, it's okay to murder you or kill you or eat you, because we eat animals, don't we? So this is what's going on. Romans 8:5. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit set their mind on the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, nor indeed can be. So then those who are in the flesh cannot please God. If we're just living a flesh mind with lust and greed and all those things, you can't please God. You have to have a mind that dominates your body and makes your body sacrifice for the sake of your spouse, for the sake of your children, for the sake of your community. Because it's not easy. For an animal to sacrifice for the sake of others is not easy. It's not natural. But for human beings, we sacrifice for the sake of others. Matthew 18:7, one of my favorite of Jesus' teachings. If your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. Throw it away. It's better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It's better for you to enter life with... Nobody actually does this, by the way, right? We understand this is metaphorical or allegorical. It could be allegorical to other passages in the Bible. We don't want you gouging out any eyes. We don't want anybody going home and cutting off any hands or feet or stuff like that. If you want to cut something off, cut off your subscription to television. It's better for you to enter life without blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the question. What does it mean? What causes sin? What causes you to sin and be separated from God? Is it your foot? No. Is it your hand? Is it your eye? No. Is it your flesh itself? Actually, somewhat. The main point is, what does your mind do with the sensory signals you get from the world around us? Does your flesh cause you to sin? How and when? It is easy to recognize sin and change it. Yeah, we'll see. Let's discuss our bodies. What happens when you're cooking and you accidentally touch a hot pot? Everybody knows, right? Immediately you don't think, I smell something burning here. I see, it's my fingers. I better remove my fingers from the hot pot immediately. Like that. That doesn't happen, right? When you touch a hot pot, immediately. That's called your limbic system. It's your flesh mind immediately saving you from suffering and pain. It's automatic. It's your flesh mind. What happens when you see a spider? Spider drops on your neck, right, from the ceiling. What do? Oh, a small arachnid creature, probably harmless. No, they're screaming. It's screaming and jumping usually, right? Yeah. If you go to YouTube, there are prank YouTube videos where people put a fake spider on people, and it's always, ah! Why? Because we're afraid of spiders, aren't we? It's natural to be afraid of it. Don't worry. That's why in Halloween the spider webs are part of horror or scariness. It's automatic. We call it the flesh mind or the limbic system. And it's automatic and makes you do things. The limbic system is embryologically older than other parts of the brain. It developed to manage fight or flight chemicals and is an evolutionary necessity for animals and somewhat necessary for us, although it gets in the way of our divine spirit mind, right? We are part of the animal kingdom, but our spirit mind have to be masters of our flesh mind. Not everybody is. Many people are carnally. They believe sexual immorality is fine, about the sex trafficking. Many men and women think pedophilia is okay. That's carnal flesh mind. They're somehow attracted to little children and then use them mercilessly. Amygdala, etc., cingulate serous, blah, blah, blah. What this is, it regulates our bodies through automatic functions. Our body is afraid of predators, for example, spiders, as I mentioned before, but other predators. Just like zebra, deer, or rabbits, we have a fight or flight reflex. Like here's the animals down there, and then a lion sneaks up on them and suddenly jumps from the tall grass and tries to capture a member of the herd. The zebra, deer, rabbits must immediately stop eating. They can't think about it. Did you see that lion? I think he's bearing down at you at 40 miles an hour. Oh yeah, I think I should stop eating now and run away. No, you can't do that. God made it so that immediately they would just hear a lion or see something and their body starts running. Their brain doesn't even know why they're running yet. Right? Didn't that happen to you? Something scary happened and you run out of the house or you run out of the building. Why are we running? Right? Didn't that happen? I was in many fundraising and many bars and things like that happen. You just run. Right? So this is an automatic part of survival for an animal, and animals use it and saves their lives all the time, and many times saves our lives. You hear a loud noise, you run away, because it could be, some crazy guy. So when you see a spider, you hear a sudden loud noise, see a danger like a predator or a scorpion, we feel fear, our digestion stops, our legs fill with blood, our breathing increases, and our body sometimes jumps. We feel a desire to run. You jump up when you see a spider, right? It's automatic. You can train yourself not to do that. Some people train themselves to pet spiders and like spiders, put them on there. Some people do that because they like spiders. And there are other limbic responses. We're more worried about the other limbic responses than these. For example, there are other limbic responses besides fear, such as lust. Animals are supposed to see, female animals, like elephant females, are supposed to see the biggest, strongest elephant who pushes all the other elephants away, and she thinks, baby, I want you to be the father of my child, right? It's a limbic response. The elephant isn't thinking, well, let's see, he's bigger than the other ones, and so it's big horns. They're not thinking. It's automatic limbic response. We say human beings, especially we say the fall of man, was actually a problem of a flesh mind overcoming the spirit mind. And that's what happens to people all the time. Lust, we say lust, powerful feelings of attraction to the wrong person. When we see, that is, we see visual images of a highly attractive person, we are subject to a limbic hijack. That is, our body acts as if it is in love, but is infatuation based on physical stimulation. But it's not love. And if you follow that lust, you're going to wreck your life. You're going to wreck your marriage. You're going to wreck your children's life. So don't do it. Also, things like jealousy. If you see something with something bigger or better that you really want, but you can't have it, they have it. Like Cain seeing Abel getting the blessing. There's a limbic hijack, and you immediately feel jealousy or anger. We call it sibling rivalry. It's an automatic response. It's a limbic hijack of the mind's idea of loving your brother or sister. See? And also anger. revenge, all those things. How about this one? How about territorialism? Lions and bears have territorialism. That is, if a bear is in a territory and he just maybe killed a deer, if another bear comes to eat his deer with him, the bear doesn't say, oh, you want a bite? Let's share. Let's think about God's kingdom and I'll help. No, they don't. It's a fighting and biting and clawing. Why? It's a limbic response of the lions and bears to protect their territory, to protect their kill. So they're biting and fighting and stuff like that, right? We do it. We do the same thing over parking spaces. Humans do the same thing over, that's my space. That guy got my space. But that's a limbic response. Divine response would be, he must need that space more than me. I'm going to park over there, right? Parking spaces, lanes. That guy cut me off. What's wrong with him? Just like the bears, right? He got in front of me. That was my lane. So we have this. Okay, now just to explain this further, there is heavenly territorialism. And that is what we call legitimate ownership. Right? In the book of Hosea it says, at the end of times in God's kingdom, every man will have his own vine and his own fig tree. And no one will try and take his vine and fig tree away. That's called ownership. That's why we're called owners of our kingdom of heaven. We have to be owners. And that's legitimate. And we should fight our limbic system to be able to understand that and protect what we really own. You should, your limbic system, if you're a mother, should fight to the death to protect your little kids. If you're a father, your limbic system should tell you, I will fight anybody who wants to hurt my little kids. Isn't that so? That's the legitimate use of the limbic system. But still you have to have some thought about that because you don't want to go to jail. So we have learned that our bodies have a mind of their own, right? That our body can act independently in times of danger. But that we are also not animals. Our spirit mind can control and dominate our flesh mind. That's an important part of us. So let's re-examine Jesus' words. If your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off, throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into eternal fire. If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out, throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into hellfire, right? Jesus says sin does not come from outside the body. It doesn't come from your foot. It isn't temptation that is sin. It isn't the food you eat. It isn't the pretty women or the handsome, attractive men. It isn't someone else's wealth that makes you jealous. It isn't your enemy that makes you hate. It's how you handle. It's how you handle the sensory input your body receives. What do you do with it? Do I think, oh, that guy's really rich? Do you become now ambitious? Think, I'm going to work really, really hard so I can buy my wife a really nice house that she'll really like. I'm willing to trade my work, labor, effort, mind, intellect, creativity, inventiveness, get a patent on something valuable, and then become wealthy so I don't have to feel jealous of somebody else. Ambition is a legitimate function of our limbic system, right? It's okay to be rich. Father's rich. Father became giant businesses. It's legitimate because he didn't do it just for his own greed. He did it for the sake of our own brothers and sisters, right? And for all mankind and for God. To live peacefully, our mind must grow to maturity, overcome and temper the limbic responses to everyday stress and mating instincts. Right? That's what Paul says. If you have a carnal mind, you're going to die. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to wreck everything if you have a carnal mind. But if you have a spiritual mind, you learn to sacrifice for the sake of your spouse, for your children, etc. This desire to fulfill Jesus' words in our pledge for mind to triumph over our body is everywhere in human history. It's part of the original mind of all mankind. So not just us, right? Hindu mystics, Buddhist monks, and Zen Buddhists, samurai understood their job was to die for the liege lord. They thought, I must sacrifice myself for my lord, right? That's a willingness to die for something higher than you. Scientists, real scientists like Galileo used his mind to discover the truth of God's creation. Heroes in life such as firemen, policemen, soldiers, those that put themselves in harm's way to save others, that's a legitimate use of courage and defense of someone else. That's legitimate and that's important. Christian saints and prophets, for example, Mother Teresa, St. Francis, Jesus is the king of self-control. He's a king of self-sacrifice. His spiritual mind said, yeah, I know you're going to kill me, but I'm going to love God anyway. And in fact, I'm going to bless you anyhow. Right? We, us, Moonies, are part of this tremendous history of spirit mind, or I meant unificationists. But unificationists are part of the history of spirit mind over animal mind. Isn't that true? Everyone in here is a warrior for God. Is a spirit warrior for God. Being brave is not about having fear. Being brave means that in spite of the fear your body generates, you do the courageous thing. Being pure and developing pure true love is not only about not being tempted, it is about resisting temptation and preparing yourself for the true love of your life. Again, also good responses to danger. Mothers and fathers loving, feeding, providing for, protecting, and sometimes forgiving their children. Right? Sometimes you have to forgive them. So we say this, John 4:24, God is spirit. We must recognize God is spirit, therefore we are spirit. And our spirit needs to connect with God's spirit. And the people who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. So we have a spiritual body which also needs to grow. The purpose of the growth of the universe is to provide a home for God's children. Just as animal parents and human parents prepare a home for their children, God prepares a home for us. Right? So it's not luck, it's not a chance, it's not one of a bazillion chances that the earth is prepared by action after action after action for human life. The purpose of a home or house for our children is to prepare them for maturity in the external world. Isn't that correct? We want them to grow independent, to be mature, to handle money, to handle sexuality, to handle raising children. We want them to be able to do that on their own. That's what this means. Mark 10:6, but from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife. That's what we're preparing our children for, to leave us and be joined to their wives, spouses, raise their children. Okay, but here's what it means. Shall leave doesn't mean to never see his parents again. Doesn't mean to ignore his parents. Because why? Is it the fourth or fifth commandment? Honor thy father and thy mother. Right? Or even to physically leave. It means to grow up in responsibility of maturity and independence. It doesn't mean to have to go to another state or go to another city or go somewhere else. It means that you become independent and no longer purely dependent on your parents. Right? So we say the same thing. Our universe grew from the Spirit of God. We grow physically on Mother Earth, but we are designed to leave our Mother Earth and rejoin God as independent beings capable and willing to worship God as a true parent, and like God to raise families of love of our own. That's the whole point of the creation of the universe. Amen? Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. I had fun doing that, by the way. I enjoyed that. And again, this is Godism. True Father said the central thing we need to teach is Godism. That God is good and they're a part of God. That we're spiritual beings, not animals. Amen? Because what does communism teach? Communism teaches you're an animal. That Darwinian evolution is the sole truth of human existence, which is craziness, zaniness. Anyway, thank you.